gonna try this again. I'm in Seattle, supposedly the most connected city in America, but for some reason, the damn thing crashed. So here's hoping that we can make this thing launch again. Give me a hot second here. I need to update my social media signals real quick and get this launched again. So we were in the process of finalizing our line art and then adding color today. Looks like I am live. That is good news. Let's see if this thing is going. Oh, God willing, will stay stable today. This happens like maybe every 5 or 6 stream. I don't know what causes it, but oh well. Luckily I have a little thing out here that's that gives me a shout out if we're connected or not. So luckily, sometimes I just shout into the void for an hour and don't realize I got disconnected. So, alas, earwax. Let's get back to work here. So, fixing my screens. There we go. This should be back on. We should be back on track again. Like, subscribe, bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here is a bunch of books that I've already created. Here's our full playlist of all 488 episodes. I'm calling this one 488A because after 9 minutes, the stream cut, so we had to start over again. So thanks a lot to new subscribers, and I really appreciate you guys. So let's get back into, with God's grace, we're going to stay stable and get to work. So let's go down to here, and here we are. Gold bar, gold coin, gold bar. A gold trade bar is worth 100 gold pieces. It's basically 2 pounds. It's 100 times the it's 100 times the amount of a gold coin, so it's worth 100 times the amount. 100 gold pieces. Logical enough, right? Futzing with this. I'm futzing with this corner here. Come on, buddy. Work with me. And this is just the rough. Get this circle in place. Once we get the actual angles of this correct, we can let's. This needs to be a little less eggy. There we go. That should be good. Now I can fix the perspective on it. Let's use the distort tool. That should probably do what we need it to do. Distort is a great tool. Good. That's proper placement. So let's drop this opacity down to here, and let's redo the circle, but better. Not bad, Kearney. Not bad. Not perfect, but not bad. There we go. Not bad. I think I can distort this a smidge as well. That feels pretty good. All right, well, let's get rid of the line. Here, let's make this a smidge bigger. There, and we're going to use the same gold coin. Since it's gold, we'll use the same gold coin. So go to here, and we'll. Don't have to be too specific. Some real basic line art. It is just a stamp on metal after all. It's not supposed to be intense detail. There we go. Welcome, welcome. We'll be streaming for another hour or so. We're just about done with our line art for this illustration, and then we will start in on color. We've already pulled samples. You can check out the original 488 for me doing color samples and starting in on the artwork here before the stream cutout. So we just relaunched the stream. There we go. Center that up, and okay, great. That feels pretty good. So there we go. We can save that there, and now we can start working on actual color. So let's see here. How do I want to do this? We have our basic floor color here. So let's just add in a base layer underneath everything else. We'll call this floor. There you go. I'm just going to drop in some color like this. It's just basically a color wash. It doesn't have to be anything too sophisticated. Just going to blend it in a little bit so it eases into the page. And then we'll focus on, we'll do, we do this comic book style. So we do the line art like we just did. And then we put flat color underneath the line art. And then we do some basic lighting like highlights and shadows, a little bit of texture. Then we'll merge the line art into the color. Blend it so it feels more natural. Comic books are comic book because the line art is prevalent whether or not there's color. Semi-realism is when you blend the line art into the color, so it has it's more of a form painting than a colored illustration. And then realism is, you know, from there, semi-realism is just realism but not good enough. Like realism, but I know it's not real. Real is, you can't really tell. This may as well be real. Those are your three layers. So you want to have a style that's consistent between both environment, objects, and people or creatures. Persons, places, and things should all have the same level of realism. Like cartoons, like anime looks weird sometimes when they have like hand-drawn characters, but they use a computer animated mecha. And depending on how, like it feels weird because the characters move differently than the crisp precision of this older CGI stuff, so it stands out. But like newer AI is capable of rendering both the people and the tech in basically the same near real style. So you can see how that line, like how that bar keeps pushing. But that's probably sufficient for our needs there. So that's our floor for now. Let's see, we have our blood layer here. We're going to grab some samples. Nerp. There, just grab some crusty blood. And so we have where'd it go? References. Thank you. These are different types of plants that grow in the blood, and soil of Mabar, the blood moss, Vulpina Lotharia, which is noxious and poisonous, and then yellow cat. Those are florets, which grow from the moss in, like you can see, like this greenish haze. This is a poisonous gas that gives you the poison condition while you breathe it, kind of like in Spelljammer. While you're breathing it, you have the poison condition. But you can take these florets and you can crush them into a melange. That if you curate it, you can breathe through it and acts as a filter and gets rid of the poisoning effect. But it burns out after D4 hours. So the military group that's running around inside the manifest zone has all this melange in a basically a one of those like those beaks. I forget what they call them, like apocalypse masks or whatever. Anyway, I can't remember the actual name. But you can basically fill up a face mask with the stuff and breathe through it, and it neutralizes the poisoning effects. Your characters are 7th and 8th level, or 7th or 8th, whatever, depending on when you start and how long you run. And they're going to be fighting a lot of low CR creatures, so poisoning them puts them at disadvantage. It lowers your results on basically all your D20 tests by 5 while you're poisoned. And then it becomes an issue of, like, do I have the face masks then become a target that can be disarmed. So once the face masks are off and you're breathing in this gunk, it poisons you and you have disadvantage on everything. So it's a fun way to drop the effectiveness of your characters. In like they're effectively outranking pretty much all the NPCs in the game. So actually, I want to do it like this. Thank you. Stay within the lines. And poisoning them is a good way to resolve that. And if they're able to give themselves advantage while they're poisoned, that just gives them a flat die roll. So one of the powers, one of the balance issues in D&D is high level characters that are already pushing stats on the things that they're fighting, and then having multiple means of getting advantage. But you don't stack advantages. You just have one type. You just have advantage or you don't. And if you have disadvantage, it takes away your advantage. So it's very binary. Like 5e is incredibly binary in its effects. It doesn't have a lot of gradation. But in this instance, that's good because it keeps the stats from getting out of control. So again, we're just blocking in color for now, and then we'll do texture and detail work later. Hey team, how you guys all doing? Hope you're having a good day. So this is a 16:9 format. If I get rid of a lot of people haven't seen this. So this is a 16:9 format. It's a PDF. So the page is intended to fit on a digital device. So like on your phone, it's a 12-point font, so it's really easy to read. Horizontally, it fits on your phone this way. Each column also fits on your phone vertically, so you can look at it column by column or page by page. And if you're using a tablet behind your DM screen while you're in person, or if you're working online, you can have your tablet with a whole page and you can just tap through and scroll through to the next page while you're running your adventure. So I was trying to say before the screen the stream crashed. I stream Monday through Fridays in the mornings like this doing artwork, and in Mondays and Thursday nights like tonight, and Tuesdays and Fridays at lunch like tomorrow. I do game design, and I'm specifically focused in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition 2024 right now. We're translating tonight. We're going to be finishing up the translating the Unearthed Arcana's Scion that got released last week. We've been converting it into a spell point mana system that we have developed for the past 7 years. It's published on the DMsGuild, so you're welcome to check that out at your leisure. But here's this. Put this in the trash. Lock it. Collapse it. Let's put some darker shade here on the floor along the objects. So here's all the references that we're using. So we'll start adding color into there, but just give me a hot second here for me to finish filling this in. There we go. Block that in. So we're going to just do block color initially, and then we'll do texture, and then we'll merge the line art into the color texturing, and then we'll do a final layer of detail work and color to complete the piece, and then we'll move on to the next illustration. We should be doing next week. I should have this finished. If not tomorrow on stream, I'll have it done tomorrow night, and we're going to start in on a whole new page and a whole new section of the book Monday morning, and we're going to start it off with a Bob Ross painting. Building depicting the Carnwood Forest. Good. Okay, so there is our floor for now. Here's our blood for now. Here's the chest. So we'll call this line, and then we're going to add in another layer on top of it here. So here's our chest, and we're going to use this lighter color here as our exterior, and then we're going to use this as our interior. So when you don't see color, you can grab, you can still paint in color using digital technology. This RGB slider that's in the upper right-hand corner, this is my color vision, RGB slider. That's what tells me what color I'm looking at. And then my eye is looking at wherever the eyedropper is. So if I want to grab a more shadowy space color like this, and then I have a brighter color like that, so I can put the whole thing in. Just gonna block, and then there's the darker color. So we're just gonna block in the initial color here. And then we'll worry about highlights and stuff like that. And I know that the latch is going to be metal as opposed to this wood. So we'll grab that metal color that we have, and we'll apply it once we get there. So everything in its turn. There. I can see an inaccuracy here. This needs to be a little bit thicker down here, so we'll probably fix this in a second. There, that's not so bad. Yeah, we'll do shade. We're just gonna do flats for now. They call it flats, where it's just the base color. So that's what we're working on right now. We're just working out the base color for these things, and then on another layer. So once we have the flats in, we'll go back through and we'll start doing highlights and shadow. And once the highlights and shadows are in place, then we'll come back through and we'll start doing texture. So I'm gonna take a sip of coffee here real quick. Journal is next. We'll call this line. Grab that base. But yeah, this is how colorblind people color. It can color. As far as I know, I'm the only one. I'm trying to find my people. So I don't know how. I don't know. Like I for whatever reason I am compelled to paint and draw despite my visual limitations. It's just something I have to do. But once I figured out that I can do it, now I want to paint and color all the time, because I feel like I found a cheat code to life. And it's like, why would I give that up? Why would I want to do just line art for a black and white page that I could print when I can just work in a digital space and actually color? Like, the glory for me is pulling off what I shouldn't be able to do. Like, I shouldn't be able to do this. I found a way to do it anyway. And nothing gives you more pride than figuring out a way to overcome limitations. There, do that for now. Journal's good. Next we'll work on the Ruby. We'll call this line art. And then we'll collapse that, add in a folder, push this out of the way, drop back in, go to our Ruby here. And looks like this is probably whoa. That's probably realistically what the color is. Oops, I see a thing. Hold on. Missed the spot. There we go. Oh, and I need to go back and fix this real quick. Hold on. While I'm thinking about it, I need to fix it. So let's fix it. Hold on. There, that fixed it. So now we can go back into the color here and paint over floor blood. Blood, 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 blood. Cool. Ruby, now we have the trade bars. Call that line. We'll add in a layer. Metal's tricky. So we're going to go with, because there's highlights, there's shade. It's either highlighting or shading, basically. So we're going to try to grab a mid-tone Like, that's pretty mid. Yeah, we'll go with that. That'll be our gold. So we can apply this to the gold bar and to the gold coins. So we're gonna do both of those now. Oof, not a big difference in color. I don't pick up on the color. Like there's like a 3% difference in the gray tone value. This here is in my eyes, it's nearly identical. See, you're gonna see a little bit of a difference there, but to me, it's like a 1, maybe 2% difference in the shade, in the gray tone of it. Even though the color probably makes it evident to you more easily, and obviously the highlights and the shadow and the reflect, like this isn't going to reflect material reflect light the same way that this is going to reflect light. I need to also grab an iron, a padlock. I need to grab a color sample for the padlock. Yeah, like that. Bars, and while I'm at it, I can do our coins as well. So we'll go line art here. Hey guys, how y'all doing today? We're doing we're coloring. We're using color samples. Since I don't see color, I have to grab color references off of the internet to be able to fill in my colors. So we've got gold bars. These are just the flats, like the gray flats, and then we'll work with highlights and shadows to make the real color of it pop out. But here's a stack of coins. These are gold coins, and then we have platinum coins in another sack. And so we have a platinum reference as well. So we just first off we just start by layering in the color like this, and then we'll do the detail and the highlights. We'll do highlights and shadows next, and then after that we'll do the word I'm looking for is texture and details. So line art, and then color flats, and then color texture, and then we merge the color into the line art and work on details and texture. And then the piece is done, and we move on to the next piece. I don't know if, as far as I know, I'm the only guy that can't see color. Like, I can't see any color. I have zero color vision. And as far as I know, there's no one else out there that's with that limitation that's still attempting to color. So one of many reasons, but one reason why I wanted to stream is if there's anyone else that's colorblind out there that feels compelled to do, to paint. I want to be out here, so they're like, yeah, this is something I can do as well. Here's our platinum, and this is a good base color here. Interesting that it's got a blue to it. I didn't know that about platinum. A very mild blue. Neat. So here's our platinum coin pouch. Welcome to the Mix Hall. Really proud to have you. I stream 9 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. And I do game design. I'll do game design tonight. Like in about 12 hours, I'll be back on stream doing Dungeons & Dragons 5e game design. I created a color mana system that blends Magic the Gathering with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And I'm currently converting the Scion UA. The Wizards has created a Psionicist, like a psychic class. And I convert everything into color mana. So I want to, later on tonight, I'll be converting that Scion into a spell point system that works kind of like sorcerers and bards. If you're a D&D enthusiast, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, no hate. So there's our coins. That's good. We have the trade bars, ruby, money bags. We're almost done. with this initial line with the color flats. So this is coming along really efficiently today. I'm really, really proud of that. So let's grab, this is a good, that's a good base tone there. But is this the right one? I'm not sure if this is the color that I actually want. Money bags, yeah, money bags should be on top of trade coins. There we go. I don't know. I won't know until I fill it in, but once it's filled in, I can just click and replace. I don't think this is the color that I want for these sacks, but since I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and just go through the paces and finish blocking them in, and then we can go on the internet and find an alternate, a different bag color and just replace it. I don't think I like how this looks, but we'll pan back and we'll look at the total composition and see if this feels complementary. It just feels a little heavy. The darkness is a little heavy for the I think for the piece overall. Maybe I like this because there's the patches of blood on the ground on the other side. Like we have blood over here and we have a ruby, so having the red sacks over here might actually balance the piece well. I don't know. We're still sussing it out, you know. But I feel like this journal needs to be like super up front. So I'm gonna grab this journal and put it in front of the money bags. There we go. This is just a still life illustration of treasure that is in the room. Here, hold on. One of the bodies, Jalen the Mayor, possesses a small journal of the events and accounting of the town as detailed above, because on a separate page we go into detail what's actually in the journal. And a set of keys. The keys unlock the entrance to Area 12A, back residence, where the mayor lives. The lock chains in Area 11A, where they tried to keep the undead out. That's the commons main entrance, which is also detailed above, and a strong box hidden beneath an overturned desk that can be discovered with an intelligence investigation check DC 15. It contains a red ruby worth 400 gold pieces, 3 100 gold piece trade bars, 30 platinum pieces, 59 gold pieces, 215 silver pieces, and 455 copper pieces. So we're just doing gold and platinum, and then we're just leaving these sacks shut. There we go. And then so all we gotta do is finish blocking this in, and then we'll do highlights and shadow, and then we'll do texture, and then that should finish off the piece. And yeah, see, that feels a little heavy. I think I want something. I feel like I want something lighter than that. So this might be okay. Let's go online real quick and look for gold coin sack. Canvas bag. There we go. Canvas bag is a word that I'm interested in. This is probably the color that I actually want. So let's copy that. Go back to our references here. Where you at, buddy? There you are. So let's take a look at what this is like. Yeah, this is probably going to be better. Let's grab that as a base color. And then go back to here. That feels like a better composition. I like that better. So we're going to keep that. Cool. So that's our flats. So I'm going to conceal that here. Murph. Let's fix this real quick. Stay in your lanes, color. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty good. We need a padlock. So hold on real quick. Let's go. Padlock. This feels like. Get me the hell out of here, Etsy. This should do. Put this over here so it stays out of the way. I'll grab this base. Here looks pretty good. And then we'll go back down to the chest. Oops, I need to be doing this on a separate layer. Thank you very much. The line art's a little crude, but it's gonna, when we do the detail work, we're gonna blend the line art into the color, and that will correct mostly the roughness of that texture. That feels pretty good. Next, let's grab like that. There we go. Let's zoom in here and it's very subtle. It's too subtle. Let's see what happens if we use the same lock color. That might actually be pretty good. That actually seems pretty good. So okay, let's play this out. Like that. Drop this in here. Hey folks, how you guys doing? Appreciate y'all being here. This is a, yeah, we're at episode 488 of this adventure. We've done all the maps, all the creature tokens, the book cover, and you always do the book cover first, because the last thing you want to do is make the first thing that people are going to see about your product is going to be the book cover. And you absolutely do not want your book cover to be the only thing that's preventing you from publishing your book. Because then you're gonna fucking hate your book. Like, I want this thing done. It's gonna make you take shortcuts and potentially, drop. You end up fumbling in the end because you didn't have the patience. Because like the only thing left in the book is the book cover. Can I hurry this up? And you start to cut corners. So I always do the book cover first, and I like to do the book cover while the book is off to the editor, getting worked on and revised so that it's good. So that when I get it back from the editor, the cover's already finished, and I can use that book cover to inspire and motivate me. Like when this thing finally finishes, this book cover is going to be on the open bookshelf. It will be available for people to see, and it becomes a point of pride and a point of inspiration for me to keep pushing through the rest of the project. I need another piece of line art here on this interior, so I'm going to drop this away. I just noticed that there's a detail missing, so let's go back into here. should be accurate line art. Here to here, and then on the interior, like that. Wrong line. Let's go to here. Yeah. Yeah, that feels pretty good. That's actually too thick. Hold on, let me thin that up. Because the interior needs to be the same as the exterior. So you got to get that line right. There. There you go. Subtle, but important. There. Back on task, y'all. Yeah, painting is it's not quick and easy. I don't do, you know, I don't do like speed up. I don't talk at you and then like speed up 60 or 120 times the creation process. I grind it through second by second with you, because I think the one thing that's missing in a lot of conversations is just how much effort goes into actually illustrating by hand. And it's a craft. It's I mean, sure, you could automate it with computers and stuff like that, AI or whatever, but that's not the act of, like, I get a sense of joy and satisfaction from being able to create the work, like the total composition. I get a sense of satisfaction, like when I do like earlier, like we drew a circle earlier, right? And I hit the point exactly. I mean, it would have been easy for a computer to plot it out, obviously, because it's a computer. But training yourself by hand to be able to have a level of precision where you're hitting the marks that you want, it's kind of like sharpshooting, you know? I mean, obviously a computer is going to be more accurate at tracking targets. But if you can, you know, like skeet shooting is an art that people aren't going to throw away because it's a skill, you know? So there's something to be said about the craftsmanship of actually just executing a skill by hand on yourself. And I don't necessarily disparage businesses that choose to utilize AI art. I get it. There's a profit, especially if you can't do the art yourself. If you have to hire, if you're going to hire somebody, you may as well hire a computer that is cheaper. But I make books so I can illustrate them and share ideas. Hey, what's going on, Jesse? Thank you. That was the exact term that I used. Thank you. Yes, it was too heavy. This is a better balanced piece. So like lighter towards the top, darker towards the bottom is a general theme that you see in reality, because light comes down from the sun. So shadows at the ground and highlights are at the top. So naturally in a composition, when you look at something, you're going to think that the lighter colors are going to be, even if it's a false narrative, generally our brain thinks lighter colors towards the top, darker, heavier things towards the bottom. Heavy things sink in water while light things bob. So they have that balance, and it's interesting how our language works, that we refer to things visually as heavy and light, while there's also mass, which is also heavy and light. It's a fun play with language. But I love that. I like how reality works in that sense. You know what I mean? Okay, so those are our flats. So when we back out, there you go. So here's our page illustration, right? We're talking about the mayor's residence, which is the back part of here. I'll show you guys. I'm still in the process. This ribbon here is going to have a key, like tree, stairs, fence, blood splatter, grass, whatever. We'll have a map key here, but here's the commons, and this is the back half of it where the mayor's apartment is at. This is the aftermath, undead aftermath. This is after undead attacked the village and people have died. So they all hold themselves up in the commons area. And so if we go to the commons area, you can see things didn't go so well. And then you can see that here the roof, like we lifted the roof off, because like in the VTT we have the map layer, which is what we're looking at right now, and then you can lift that off. You can lift the lid off, and yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's a separate layer. So it's just an object that the DM can move out of the way. So as you go through the village, you can just take the lids off of all the buildings that you've been to that you know you've explored. So the team can look at the map at a glance. It's like, okay, let's check the constables, the constabulary, right? So we go to the constabulary, and you can see like we still have the roof on the mayor's apartment, because you're not in the mayor's apartment right now, so we keep the roof on there. But you can see that the sheriff had some bad news here, and then stumbled his way to the mayor. And then the descriptive text is that the guy got killed. So hold on, let's go back to that. There you go. The porch door leading into the back apartment hangs from its frame awkwardly, but it doesn't immediately open when pushed, obstructed by something on the inside. The door into the residence is blocked by the body of a heavy dwarf. Pushing it aside is easy, but doing so requires a successful DC 17 intelligence stealth check. Otherwise, the noise attracts the attention of two long dead in Area 12B in the next room, which emerge from the office in the east and attack one round after the door is pushed open. The dead dwarf is the village constable. Tracks from Area 2, constabulary above, leads to where this body lies. Moss and black florets sprout from the pool of blood around the dwarf, while black crystals bristle around the edges from the gaping wounds across the dwarf's body. And then you can do a search check. You find a magic axe, some coin, blah, blah, blah. And then over here in 12B, where some of the undead are at, this is the mayor's office. The small room appears to be a clerk's office. The floor is covered in blood and furniture is overturned. 3 villagers lie dead in the room, and the northern door has been torn from its frame, leading into a dim, fog-filled chamber. The stench of decomposing bodies waft through the open doorway. The pool of blood under the fallen villagers are encrusted with moss and florets. The plane of Mabar is the source of necrotic energy in the plane of in the world of Eberron. So these undead that are infused with Mabaran energy, when they kill you and your blood spills, you get infected with this Mabaran this Mabar stuff. So like here, these are the black florets that grow in blood. Here's Vulpina Lotharia, which releases a toxic stench, and this is just blood moss that just grows in open blood. So when you're in a cursed area like this, bodies that die, they spawn this flora that starts to terraform the environment to be more like Mabar, and it'll automatically animate corpses if they're infused with too much necrotic energy. Bodies just rise on their own. They're independent undead. So. And then, they attack you. Hey, what's up? What VT are you using? I'm using Foundry for Blades in the Dark and Roll20. I use Roll20. I've been using Roll20 for 13 years. I've got 7,500 hours of time accumulated in it. But I don't. This is as an adventure. This is a lot more depth. These maps, like this is a product, right? So the product needs good maps. Me personally, as a DM, I work in stick figures and dashes and lines, like complete bullshit art. Like an adventure, a published adventure is a published event, is a vibe. So you want to depict things properly and thoroughly. But when I'm DMing, the last thing I want to do is use a professional, good-looking map, and then if the players step off that map and I still have to map stuff, now I'm into line art and chicken scratch and blobs, because I can't render reality at this scale that quickly to be able to stay. I can't render a world as they take steps 5 feet by 5 feet. So you have to. So my DMing style is like 90% improv. So once I know what's going on inside an environment or an adventure, I pretty much just freewheel it from there. And the less visual tells there are for the players to know that I'm off script, the less often they know whether or not, like, they take it more seriously. It's like, we don't know if Phil's on script or not. we don't know if he planned this or not. And sometimes they'll catch me and they'll know that I'm freewheeling, and it's to them it's a perverse joy. It's like, we caught you. It's almost like on Saturday Night Live when the actors make each other laugh. Like on the Carol Burnett show, super old, but Saturday Night Live is the same way. Like they actively try to fuck with each other so that they'll get them to laugh instead of saying their lines. It's like a little game that they can play with each other. Playing D&D is like that. The DM is trying to maintain a facade and sustain disbelief, suspend disbelief. So by not switching gears between maps, working in theater of the mind, mostly and only using visual references when necessary, that's a really good way for you to be able to retain that narrative. But D&D is such a tactical game. It wants the 5-foot grid. So when you're publishing an adventure, you need to have the solid maps that are dictating everything. So we have a ton of assets that are included with the adventure. So you can just tile things. We provide tons of tiles so your characters can roam and the DM can just lay down more tiles so that the characters are free to roam where they need to go. Theater of the Mind still has this. Oh my God, yeah, it does. Seriously, I ran 5th edition, like 90% Theater of the Mind. You can do it. You don't need to worry about tactical details. You only get one reaction per round. You have a general idea of where people are going to get targeted. You don't need to use a tactical map unless you want to. So, anyway, that's my TED Talk. Let's, here's our, nope, wrong button. Line art. We're going to start doing texture and highlights. So, how much time do I have left? I've got 20 minutes left-ish. I've got 5 minutes left on my timer, and then I got another 20 minutes. And then I'll have to step out for the day. But I'm going to be back tonight. It's 7:30 here. It's 7:50. No. Yeah, 7:30 here in Seattle. I'll be back on in around 11 or 12 hours to work on the Spell Point Scion. We're going to finish converting that today. So here's our line art. Here's our base color. Let's jump in here and grab some of this black. And we're going to grab... Let me go find it. I'm looking for a particular brush. There it is. I'm gonna... add in some crystal texture here. So, Crystals of Mabar is the name of the adventure, and the large ones are like mana stones. They empower necromancy and darkness spells. And this adventure is about a group of Emerald Claw necromancers using an artifact to... Shit. I used the same layer. I need to... For some reason, my layer dropped. Let me do this again real quick because I want to keep my layers separated. Necromancers have an artifact. It's called the Eye of Mabar. It's made of material from the plane of Mabar. It's an artifact, so it has its own intelligence, but they don't really... The Emerald Claw cultists don't really know how dangerous this thing really is. But there's a ritual they can use powered by the artifact that creates and sustains a manifest zone that when the ritual that they're performing is completed will create a permanent portal that is basically an open door to the plane of Mabar. And the reason why they're doing it, why they're bothering, well, they're necromancers, so they want the undead. They want all the undead. But specifically, Mabar is it costs money to create undead and to speak with dead and stuff like that. And you have to use rubies or whatever to as a spell component that gets consumed in the process of casting these spells. But these crystals of Mabar, you can ground them up into a powder using like a mage, right, or an alchemist can do this. Anyone that's proficient with alchemy tools that hits the task check can convert this crystal, these little gritty crystals, into a powder that can then be used like as chalk in a ritual, or you can sprinkle it on a corpse and it replaces the gold piece value of the gem that you need. The Manifest Zone is a 5-mile area deep in the forest that the team will eventually get to and fuck around inside of. But that entire region, the entire environment is being terraformed into Mabar. When it completes, it's going to basically be a 5-mile farming area to collect all these crystals to then be ground into this alchemical formula that can be used as a material component to cast necromancy spells. And you can do all sorts of alchemical stuff with all the different types of plants and stuff that's growing inside the Manifest Zone. So they're specifically terraforming the environment so that they can convert the forest into this Mabaran swamp that they can then farm for material content. It's just a money scheme. They're just like, yeah, we have, you guys are farmers. You might be farming wheat and barley, but we're farming undead out here. And we're going to get paid a lot more for it because, that's how an industrialist necromancer would probably look at life. So, plus with the Emerald Claw losing their status and clout at the end of the last war, most of them are considered war criminals now. So they've lost their gravy train. Like the Trenaris Solzu is Solzu Trenaris is the Emerald Claw leader. He used to be military intelligence, so he had access to all this information. Had this like a wealthy lifestyle, but he was also an effective military commander. So he had a lot of badges, he had like a lot of ribbons, medals. He was a successful, what was a war hero became a war criminal at the end of the war. Now that necromancer isn't needed anymore, they're trying to remove that asset from their from their presence, that get rid of the stigma of it. It was needed at the time, but we don't need it now, so get out. There's a lot of betrayal that goes into that. So a lot of these Emerald Claw cultists have a really big chip on their shoulder because they got into the dark arts, and they like if you've seen like Howl's Moving Castle, like they made some bad deals to be able to do what the military needed them to do to save their nation. And now they're not being thanked at all for it. And they're pretty fucking pissed off about it. And I don't blame them. Hey, what's up? I would say Vampire the Masquerade is a perfect example of a system that is very dependent on Theater of the Mind. Oh my god, yes, absolutely. Yeah, all World of Darkness is. I'm a big Guru fan. I'm a Werewolf the Apocalypse guy myself. But I also like goth. I like goth girls. So I would LARP in the dungeons of wineries back in college, mostly because those are the kind of chicks I was into at the time. So that's what got me into World of Darkness. It's like all these gals keep talking about vampire. I'm not a vampire fan myself, mostly because most of the LARPing that I witnessed was basically trying to trick each other into drinking blood so that you had to do what they say in character from now on. It's like, it's not honest. The guru might makes right up front. That fit my vibe a lot more back in those days. Let's grab more references here. And when you're LARPing, everything's done with hammer, rock, scissors. If you're playing Guru while you're shifted, there's a fourth option, which is bomb. And the only thing that can defeat bomb is scissors. So if they know that you're Guru and they're expecting you to use bomb for scissors, you're either going to use bomb or you're going to use rock, one or the other, because rock breaks scissors and nothing but scissors beats bomb. So it has that weird added variable to it. So there was a little bit of a mind game there, and if you got good at it, you can kind of read who you were up against, and you had a better chance of winning hammer, rock, scissors. It's almost like having an advantage in hammer, rock, scissors by having an added variable like that. It's actually really clever. But for the most part, I wasn't a big fan of LARPing I think if it was something, I bet if like I played like Ascension, like Mage Ascension, I bet that would have been more fun. But there's so much visual stuff. Like it's like I would say the best example of how Mage Ascension works is the second Deadpool movie with Domino, the mutant that's blessed with luck. I would say she's probably the best example of how like Mage the Ascension is supposed to work. Just like you're so infused with power that just weird coincidences just keep happening around you that work out in your favor. And you're engineering them, maybe subconsciously you're engineering them, but you could depict your character to be like intentionally creating these coincidences and these points of luck so that you don't break, so you don't create paradoxes. And that's a lot of fun, but that's difficult to live. That's difficult to live role play. That's more of a pen and paper, but that's incredibly theater of the mind. I have this at 100% opacity right now. I want to back it down to 80. Just to work with that texturing in here. There, and I can see that grit. So if I pull the smudge tool fast like this vertically, it creates these like little streaks, these little bumps. I actually want that for the texturing for this moss that's growing among the crystals and the blood. Creates these little crusty points. There, like that. And we'll end up blending the line art into the base red on the underlayers, but this texturing that I'm doing right now, this is going to sit above the line art ultimately when we're done with this, just to demonstrate that point. There, we'll do it like that. A little bit of moss there. Break that up a little bit. There we go. See, I wasn't interested in making role-playing games until Wizards of the Coast released the Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica back in 2015. I'm a big Magic the Gathering enthusiast, and Wizards of the Coast owns both D&D and Magic the Gathering, and they've owned both IPs for literally 25 years now, and we didn't see for the first 15 years of them owning both IPs, they never did anything involving Magic the Gathering in Dungeons and Dragons. And during 3rd edition, they were punching out like first edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition. There were so many books being produced, like one to 3 books per month were being released in all 3 of those game editions. There was so much content coming out that I never felt the need to create my own class, my own race or whatever, because there were so many character options that were being punched out each month. It's like, how do I know I need to make up my own thing if I haven't sampled everything and know what can actually be done? Maybe what I want to do already exists inside the game and I just haven't had an opportunity to explore it. So I was never compelled to create my own my own character options, right? But 5th edition, they like Wizards learned, quote unquote, learned from past mistakes in that like if you create too many subsystems, it's really difficult to play test all of it. It's really difficult to balance each system to each other as you continue to expand the number of systems that exist. And then you get this crazy scope sprawl of we put all this time and effort into building like Magic of Incarnum, but like 5% of their audience base used Incarnum in their game. It's like, wow, we put out a 128-page book and it's making a minuscule fraction of what the player's handbook is because it's too specific of an audience. So Wizards learned from this during 3rd edition and scaled back the complexity of the game system in 5e significantly. Not only simplifying the rules so it's easily approachable and feels more Beck-me, I guess, like Shadow Dark proves that 5e can be a very Beck-me-like game. And as I understand it from interviews with Mike Merles, it was their intention to have these different gears of difficulty where the common base of the game is more Beck-me-like than anything else. And then you'll have these options to expand the depths and complexity of the game, but they never got there. The design team ended up going in another direction, and they just never ended up committing to doing that. But the more complexity and options you add into a system that deviate from the core rules, the more you shatter the base. Second edition learned a lot of this by having so many different campaign worlds like Planescape, Spelljammer, and Dark Sun, Mystara, Al-Qadim, Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk. Hollow Earth is technically a part of Mystara. Kryn, that's like 10 settings right there. And that's no one's going to play all of them. I played Planescape, Spelljammer, and Dark Sun exclusively. And I ended up blending Planescape and Spelljammer together. So that consolidated into one. And then there was Dark Sun. And then Dark Sun dropped off. And I went into Eberron. And then merged Eberron into Planescape pretty quickly. And then put Spelljammer back into Planescape and Eberron. I'm currently running a Spelljammer Planescape Eberron campaign at my home table. So if you break the base too much, but like I never touched Mystara. So like they had dozens of Mystara books, but to me it was a complete waste of time. I'll never touch those books because I don't give a shit about it. Hollow Earth was interesting, but again, I don't care. So, okay, so we're looking at texture, right? I'm getting on a tangent, and I'm almost out of time. I got 10 minutes left, so then we'll be back tomorrow morning to continue this work. I'll probably work on some of this tonight, like off screen. That's the blood. So next we're gonna work on the chest. I see text. Hold on real quick. Let me catch up with you. Yeah. World building creation process is just no kidding. Even if it's just a new character class or region or vanilla or homebrew, damn straight, dude. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I didn't. To follow through. I didn't get into game design until Ravnica came out because it was pretty clear at that point that Wizards' philosophy was to simplify, not add complexity. So like they took the Magic the Gathering setting of Ravnica and they boiled it down into the Vancian spell slots and 8 schools of Magic. It's like, that's not Magic the Gathering, like, at all. The whole point of Magic the Gathering was the color mana system. That's why I was excited about Ravnica coming out. It's like, are they finally committing to a color philosophy in the D&D game? And the answer is no. No, we are absolutely not doing that. In fact, we're not even going to ever mention it. We're just going to keep with the Vancian Magic system. So we'll never see it. So at that point, it's like, okay, well, I know I have an idea for how to do it, and so I play tested it for a year, and it came out. It works. So let's go ahead and build a book out of it. So I redesigned the spell point system, and then I then took that paradigm and I built the 5 color mana system on top of it, so that you have, like, you have mana, and like your mana is either going to be white, blue, black, red, or green. And so if you want to throw a fireball, you need to have red mana. So now we're adding the preparation back into spellcasting, because like 5e got rid of a lot of the preparation limitations that existed in earlier editions of the game. They just made it so, like, yeah, you have your spells that and then whatever resource you're casting them with, just go ahead and whatever spell you want, you're good to go. It was very flexible, it was very inviting, but it's also very powerful, and they didn't increase marshals to compensate for that change in power. It used to be that marshals were simple to run because swing sword good always. But, like, is a fireball needed today? Is a web needed today? Is cure wounds needed today? Shit, is detect magic needed today? you had to decide how many spells of like how many copies of like how many fireballs do I need today. If you like way back in the day, you'd have a player that would load up on like 2 fireballs, a lightning bolt, and like a protection from energy. It's like, dude, you are like super combat. If we don't get in combat today, your character's worthless. Diversify, man. Get some utility, get some mobility, and some exploration options in there. Otherwise, your wizard's not going to be able to help us a lot if we don't run into a lot of AoE combat scenarios. So like that was a problem. They would like a lot of rookie, quote unquote, rookie wizards would over specialize, thinking I need all this combat shit. And it's like, fuck, I really wish I had memorized Tensor's floating disk. And it's like, I don't have that. But that was the risk and reward that went into being a spellcaster. If you chose poorly, you got, you're not going to be very useful today. That's why prepping, research, and knowing what kind of an adventure you're getting into, like a heist mission, you got to do your prep work so you know what you need to bring to the table to have a successful heist. D&D used to be like that, very much used to be like that, and Wizards slowly stripped that away from it, and by 4th edition it was gone. But that used to be how you would balance marshals versus casters, by making casters try to prepare and plan for what they needed. So the color mana system that I'm talking about, that reintroduces it, because yeah, maybe you can cast any spell that you want, but if you're out of red mana, you're not casting any fireballs. So it added that level, an optional it added the option of adding that level of planning and complexity back into the game, but could be stripped away and made completely narrative if you wanted to. So you can pull different levers on the level of complexity that you want to deal with in your campaign. So since Wizards wasn't going to do anything with color mana, that became my focus and my passion, and that means I have to start building my own books. It just happens, lucky me, I've been a painter and a freelance illustrator for a couple decades before I got interested in actually doing any kind of game design whatsoever. So now that I build books, I get to illustrate my own books. So I'll build the book, I'll have the idea for the book, I'll play test it on my Discord server. That's linked down below, by the way. Anyone's welcome. And if the idea works, let's flesh it out. Let's do what we can to make it solid. Hire an editor to help us make the words sound good. And then I can do my own page layouts, and I do my own artwork. And it takes a long time for me to publish a book because, handcrafting art, it takes a while. But to me, it's totally worth the effort. Because, I get to ramble on and meet people and talk shit and stuff. So it's like, there's always reasons for a fireball. That's right. If you explore the room with a fireball, anything that's not destroyed is going to probably have a gold piece value. So yeah, you're right. In a hurry, you can just lob a fireball, and anything that's left, assuming that you don't need scrolls or anything, but anything that's left over, if it's magic, it'll survive. Yeah, generally a good process. I can't front on that. Let's add another layer of color here. So let's go back up to here and grab this darker tone. No, hold on. Let me try that again. So this is how colorblind people can color, just by sampling and operating off of light and dark value. Ironically, as I understand it, one of the biggest difficulties that artists that can see color, one of their biggest challenges is contrast. Because the color tricks you into thinking there's contrast where there isn't any. And they have to train their eye to ignore the color and work in grayscale. Actually, in production, like actual manufacturing production, like cars and stuff, the designers only work in black and white. They'll do a grayscale model, knowing that a certain gray value, like if we have a color block here, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being white and 10 being black. This is about a 6, maybe a 7. And so we know that like dark greens, obviously dark grays, maybe even like orange can exist inside this gray tone. So when manufacturing goes with painting, you only offer cards in so many different colors because the gray tone has to align with the colors that they chose. And you only have this is called planning. I mean, like literally, like there are a career that you have in manufacturing is called planners, and what the planners do is they coordinate with like what colors are being produced by paint manufacturers right now, and what things can we make that are those colors, because those are the only colors that we're getting. This happens in the fashion industry a lot. They're only going to produce dyes for clothing of a certain set. So all the clothing that's going to get made during this time period is going to operate within that color of dye, because that's the material that's available to them. So it's all highly coordinated. So like if you think there's a conspiracy about it, like industries like cross communicating with each other, yeah, they have to, because they have to be able to have a supply chain to provide enough dye to be able to produce the amount of smocks that people want to wear this year. And that smock, therefore, is going to be in this color. That's going to imply a certain sort of feeling or temperature, and that is what helps guide fashion. These things are all coordinated together, but unless you understand the logistic pipeline that goes into the manufacturing of these things, you don't necessarily see why they're connected. It just feels like a conspiracy. But they have to conspire for each other's success, because like paint is a difficult thing. You can't just like industrial paint is difficult to produce. You have to have a specialist that's manufacturing those dyes. So it's all very coordinated. Why was I talking about that? Sorry, I kind of fell asleep in the middle of that rant. I don't know. I don't know why I was talking about that. Anyway, I'm sure I had a good reason. That's just how it is sometimes. That's just how it is. There we go. Hey, what's up, Steve? It's good to see you, my guy. Thanks for being around. Hey, what's up, Steve? It's good to see you, my guy. So we're coming to the end of my stream. Oh my god, I got 10 seconds left. How about that for timing? Yeah, we're gonna continue this. We'll continue this tomorrow. I'm probably gonna continue this effort off screen later on tonight. I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be back in 10 hours to finish work on the Spellpoint Scion, converting the new Scion for D&D that is being explored as playtesting. I've been converting that into the Spellpoint system I've been talking about. So we're going to do that tonight, and I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. We're going to continue with this, but while I'm not on screen, I'm going to be working on continuing the coloration here. So this is what we do. I've been doing this for years. I stream Monday through Friday in the morning like this, and then I do game design Monday and Thursday nights, and Tuesday and Friday lunches, and then I do playtesting on my Discord server link down below. I playtest on Saturday mornings. Right now we're playtesting the Martial Power System, which is a color mana mechanic for barbarians, fighters, monks, and rogues to use. That rangers, paladins, warlocks, and artificers can also borrow from instead of spellcasting. So we have these two gears of channeling power and casting magic. Full casters don't get access to channeling powers at all, except for the Scion. The Scion actually breaks that rule because your disciplines duplicate different powers that martials already get. So it's a fun blend there. I like that. So, yep, I am out of here, my guys. Like, subscribe, I'll be back tomorrow morning, and you are certainly welcome back as well. So I will see y'all. I will see y'all on the other side. See you in 10 hours. Bye.